Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, I would like to officially call the City of Nisswa regular council meeting on this Tuesday, December 16th, 2025 at 7 o'clock p.m. to order. If everyone can please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, the next item is to approve the agenda. I just want to bring up one note for council to consider. In talking with our city attorney prior to the meeting, we do have an item number 3 under new business, which is the Verizon cell tower appeal. Would council consider moving that from item number 3 under new business to basically item number 20, right before the recommendation to move to closed session, to ensure that we allow all parties related to that appeal as much time as they need to get through that. That is an ask for consideration. Okay, would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to move under new business G3 Verizon cell tower appeal, move that to G20 right after the 2025 budget talks, fund transfers, and before the recommendation to move to closed session pursuant to Minnesota statute.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries, and the Verizon cell tower appeal under new business will be moved to the last item before we go into closed session. All right, now do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Second.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved. Next up is a consent calendar. Notice to the public, all matters listed are considered routine by the council and will all be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless good cause is shown prior to the time council votes on the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion from council? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the consent calendar is approved. Next on our agenda is open forum. This is when anyone in the audience, if you'd like to come up and make public comment, you can do so. You will have 2 minutes. I will start a timer so that we give equal and fair time to everybody here that would like to come to the mic for open forum. We just ask that you state your first and your last name and your address for our record.
Diane Townsend, 26424 Highland Avenue. I don't agree with everything Mayor Carnahan says. However, during Mayor Carnahan's door knocking, I spoke of probable challenges she may be faced with if elected, such as the present situation. I am pretty much spot on. I don't believe this is the correct way to handle your disapproval of Mayor Carnahan's supposed conversation. I'd like to ask, where is the audio evidence of this conversation Sophie Foster claims took place? There is none. It's all hearsay. She said, they said. As for city employees leaving, you can't blame that on Mayor Carnahan. Jenny Max is leaving no matter who won the election. Other employees have stated they were doing all they could to get Jenny Max to quit and other employees. As for sexists and bigots being thrown out there, I do have audio evidence of city employee calling other city employees sexist and biased and on the verge of discrimination if not already there, as well as evidence of more corruption. The turmoil in this city and the control of some city employees feel they should have has gotten way out of control with the intimidation. This is the kind of turmoil and negative publicity the city does not need, and it needs to be stopped. And yes, you were spot on when you said I would not let this all go.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address, come forward for public comment? If you can state your first and last name and your address, and then you will have 2 minutes.
This one. Good evening, councilmen and mayor. My name is Dr. Bonnie Johnson, and my address is 25942 Trailside Run. I don't know any of you, but I want you to know that I am quite active in the Nisswa community. I work turtle races, I work fall barbecue, I was the elf loading the train. I am a color guard. I say that for one reason. I love Nisswa, and I put my energy towards loving Nisswa. Before I came and lived full-time in Nisswa, I was a principal in the largest school district in the state of Minnesota. And quite often I would use this mantra with my students. Are you being helpful or are you being hurtful? And let me give you a quick example of that. Callie J. I always worry her when I'm talking. Callie and the women of the chamber worked tirelessly to bring about a wonderful Nisswa City of Lights. We had thousands of residents and non-residents leave our city and say, what a wonderful, magical Hallmark village that was. Is that being helpful or was that hurtful? I think you know the answer to that. And then less than 2 weeks later, our beautiful city of Nisswa is splattered across multimedia outlets, even the Strip, about what some would consider political infighting. Never needed to come to that level. And so I ask you, what do the regular citizens of Nisswa want? Are you being helpful or are you being hurtful in your actions when you are discussing our town? And as you are thinking about your actions and your comments tonight, I would like you to self-reflect upon that. What are you doing to promote the image of Nisswa? I hope you are working as hard as Callie J. and Kathy Reichenbach are doing to promote that image. So
Thank you, Bonnie.
and I have 30 more seconds, please. Totally unrelated topic. I'm leaving that. Later on, you're going to be discussing the benefits of Lonnie Thompson. Lonnie Thompson.
Oh, Bonnie, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but when we get to that item on the agenda, you can come and speak on that item.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come to the microphone for public comment? And again, if you can state your name and your address, and then I will start the timer and you will have 2 minutes.
Melissa Straight, Alder Street, Nisswa. The employers are the employers, we the people of the employees. When you have employees trying to create or have a vote of no confidence against us, because they are doing a vote of no confidence against us. Because if you voted with your voice to put these people in place, and now some of them are trying to get her out, that's against you, the employer, okay? So stand up and say that you support what you voted for, which is the leadership in this organization of a business, and that you want her to stay. Because when they vote no confidence, they're voting no confidence against the employers, okay? And they're also trying to sanction the employers. She's just in the way. Much like this employer here that I voted for, he's doing exactly what I told him to do, okay? He's just not getting enough Somalis out by Christmas for me, okay? But let's stand for what we voted for and not tolerate this bullying, because it's bullying. It's not doing the business of what we hired this staff of employees to do for we the people. Okay? So at least stand up and say, hey, I support what I voted for. I have a vote of confidence for the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to come forward for public comment? And just a reminder again, if you can state your name and your address, and then I will start the timer.
Deb Best, 5319 Poplar Avenue.
You might want to talk into this microphone right here. Sorry,
I don't speak in front of people, so I'm sorry.
go ahead.
So our community voted for all of you into our office. This community expects all of you to make decisions and take action in the best interests of this community. This may not be aligned with individual agendas to move forward, and it is not intended to. There's obviously will be challenges as a result of misalignment, but the expectation and the challenge will be overcome by the people that were voted into office by this community. It's sad, but I've heard from Nisswa residents that may have to move out of their homes of many years as a result of sizable tax increase. There has been some work on how to keep our taxes at bay, but City Council seems to be challenged with resolving it. Instead of exhausting city resources to clear a path for personal agendas, I expect the city to resolve challenging differences through compromise. This community lost confidence in the city with the results of the purchase of the land by the holiday. The residents didn't get the opportunity to discuss it. It's time to put your differences away and work as a team to build our trust back. You are all strong-hearted, and I know you love our town. And instead of battling personal agendas, it's time to work together and make Nisswa residents proud to be part of this community again. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council or come forward during the public comment period? Again, if you can just state your first and last name and your address, and then your time will start and you will have 2 minutes.
It won't take that long. Douglas Host, 25678 Highland Avenue. I just want to, first off, no to censure, no to resignation. This is such a minor issue. We live in a time where boundaries seem to get narrower and narrower and narrower. So if you're not happy with the process that's in place with a concern you might have, that doesn't give you the license to just jump in front of somebody and start spouting off whatever you're upset about. You know, as a mayor, yeah, you have to expect that because, you know, that you're the mayor and we love seeing you in town. My wife and I call it our little village. But people coming in and not happy with the process, kick and scream, trying to make some, I don't even know the words. I'm just frustrated on this whole thing. Whatever disagreements are on the council should be behind the council doors. It shouldn't be out here. And this whole thing is a nothing sandwich. It shouldn't have happened, regardless of what either side said or didn't say. And to comment on an earlier speaker, yeah, if this was something, it was at the pickle. There would have been 1,000 photos and, you know, 100 hours of video taken. Everybody would have wanted to get in on that. So I personally, I wasn't there, but I don't believe it was as big of an issue as it's been made out to be. And that's all I have to say on the matter. But thank you so much. We appreciate it. And Mayor, keep working hard. We like it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward? Going once? Again, if you can state your first and last name, your address, and then I will start the timer and you'll have 2 minutes.
Good evening, Kate Stumble, 4436 Lower Roy Lake Road, Nisswa. And I will start this out by addressing the woman who is up here referring to herself as the employer. I too am an employer and we conduct regular performance reviews. I have 2 daughters at Nisswa Elementary and it was very exciting to see a female coming into office, especially among males. Perhaps a performance review is in order before taking the action of resignation or firing, and specifically setting an example of an online presence and maybe filtering out the press releases coming from the mayor going into media. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Last call? Okay, we will close public comment. Next up, we have our reports and we will start with our city attorney. Do we have a report this month?
Good evening, everybody. No, I've got nothing to report.
Okay, we will go next to our city engineer. Do we have a report this month?
Just to report, we're continuing to work on the road projects for both 2026 and 2027. Progress is going well, so we look forward to the hearing in January.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the city engineer from council? Nothing? Okay, we will move next into old business. The first agenda item is the city administrator / clerk search update from Mike Humpel with SCSC. Mike, thank you for making the drive. We appreciate you being here.
First, would you handle that? Let me first say, Mayor and Council, thank you for giving the South Central Service Co-op and myself the opportunity to work with you to find your next city administrator.
Thank you for having the lowest rate.
Pardon me?
Thank you for having the lowest rate.
Well, and you know, I can address that a little bit just quickly. We're a not-for-profit local government entity established by the legislature, so our cost structure can be a little different than some of the other folks that do this. But tonight, what I'd like to do is, one, introduce myself, Mike Humpel. I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, and I started in local government in 1987, so dates me a little bit. In 1995, I was recruited to be the first community development director for the city of Fairmont, Minnesota, down in the southern part of the state. I worked there 24 years and 4 months and completed my last 8 years as the city administrator. And in 2020, I started with the Service Co-op as their manager of local government solutions. So I've been around a little bit in local government. My educational background is a bachelor's of science in public administration and a master's degree in public administration. So what I'd like to do in your folder on the right-hand side is a little bit about our team's philosophy on executive searches. When I look at city councils, you know, they generally are volunteers. They have real jobs during the day, and not that your council job isn't real, but a daily job. And you have families. So what we like to do is take, did I say the right side? Might have been the left.
Left side.
Left side, sorry. So what we like to do is try to take the burden off of you in the search process. You have other things to do. What we'd like you to do is trust us. Our goal is to bring you 5 candidates that all have the technical skills to do the job. Be your job and the city staff's job to try to determine if this person fits your organization or not, your organization's culture. So what I'd like you to do is kind of trust us to do the job. I think we're on a path already of success. We've advertised the job for just a little over 10 days. We have 5 full applications in that I'm starting to vet, and we have 4 other individuals that I've talked to, and they say they're going to apply, and we have 22 days left in the posting process. So if you go down to the next thing is how we rank and go through the process. As the applications come in, we look at 10 bullet points from your job description, and we assign points to that as their resumes reflect. Once that's complete, myself, I interview at least 5 or 6, maybe 7 individuals over the phone that scored the highest. Then I have another person, has her own HR firm. She'll administer a PXT assessment, and then she will interview them to see what their management and leadership skills are like. The PXT assessment is an assessment we purchase, and it tells us what the person's thinking style is, what are their decision-making style, what is their financial abilities, and how they use that. And we administer those, we send them back to the company, and they give us a report on each individual. We compile that report. with our interviews, the two of us, and we select 5 candidates. We select 5, all will have the skill sets to do the job. We'll interview 4, and the 5th is always a person that we have as an alternate in case someone drops out, because that often happens. A lot of times this won't be the only position they're applying for. So that's kind of our process. And to better explain it, there's a timeline in there that you should have all received a week or so ago. And so usually I do this a little bit ahead of this, but we needed to keep this thing rolling and get going, especially to the holidays. So if we start, well, let's just start. We advertised it on December 5th. We have what I'd call 9 applicants right now. The process the posting will go for another 22 days, ending on the 5th of January. We'll pick finalist applicants or final review of applications on the 6th and 7th. And then January 7th through the 26th is when we actually do interviews, Zoom interviews, background checks, criminal and that sort of thing. And then on the 27th of November, we'll set up interviews and provide you all 3 ring binders with all the pertinent information you need to review that and get prepared for your interviews that we have scheduled for the 9th and 10th of February. What I like to do is on the 9th, bring the candidates in, all 4 of them, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, to have them meet with different members of your city staff. What I like to do is try to get as many members as we can of your staff, and we'll set them in a large room with 4 tables. Put a candidate or have staff at the 4 tables, and we'll put a candidate at each table, and they'll spend 20 to 30 minutes with each candidate. And then it's kind of like speed dating for city administrator. What we want to do is we want to get staff's input. We want to have staff talk to and ask questions of the candidates. Once that's done, it usually ends about 4 o'clock. We have the candidates go for a tour of the community. The city staff get together and visit about what they thought of the candidates. I interview the staff, and they give me what their recommendations and suggestions are, and I hold that information until the council finishes their interviews the next day. And then when appropriate, I say, well, here's what your staff thought. And on the first night, we'd have a community meet and greet in here where the candidates would be here. The public's invited, planning commission, EDA, school superintendent, county commissioners, just because this person will be working pretty close with all of those folks. So we'll do that. The next day, we have I'd like to have 2 interviews in the morning, break for lunch, 2 interviews in the afternoon. And then after the last interview, go into closed session to discuss labor negotiations, essentially, or who you want to hire, or how you want to proceed after hearing from all 4 candidates. Usually we get that done, and you direct me to make an offer, and I work with your city attorney to walk through an employment agreement. But that's kind of our process. I take questions, but the other thing we did is all of you filled out a questionnaire that we put together, and on your right side is the position profile, and it outlines a lot of things about Nisswa. It talks about what your expectations are of the candidate, and that helps them understand what your expectations are. And then again, that gives them the opportunity to say, is this a fit for me? And I can talk them through what the council's wishes are. There is in your packet my analysis on salary. I think you're well within the salary range and competitive. So with that, I'd take any questions you have on the process or any direction.
Thank you, Mike, for coming up to go over all this with us. I think it seems like a very detailed and thorough approach, and appreciate the thought and the transparency in it. I'll turn it to council to see if there are any questions for Mike. I'll start with you, Councilmember Fraley.
I don't have any.
Councilmember London. Councilmember Zahn.
Thank you for coming.
And everybody's okay with the time frame. I mean, we got Christmas in there, but I think we're ahead of the game. The one other thing I can say is being ahead of the game at this time right now, because there's 5 other searches that will start in the next week or so that we'll be competing with. So it's good to get the thing going, and I appreciate the opportunity to come and visit with you tonight. And Maggie, it's good to see you in person. Thank you. But again, what I'd like to do is just thank the council for giving us the opportunity to work for you. And I'm quite certain we will come up with a candidate that all of you can work within your organization. And so we'll do the best job we can.
Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you again in February. Yeah, or before.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up under old business is a continuation from the special meeting that took place last Wednesday at 9 a.m., which is a continued discussion related to me. Gentlemen, I wasn't at the meeting. I'll let you start. I do have some remarks, but I will turn it to you to start. Councilmember Zahn, I'm guessing you're gonna
Well, if you have
take
remarks,
this one.
please.
Last Wednesday, I chose not to attend the special council meeting because it was clear to me from the outset that it would be performative rather than productive. What followed confirmed that assessment. An effort to use official city business to settle personal and/or political grievances against me as mayor, despite my consistent focus on protecting taxpayers, increasing transparency, and accountability at City Hall. Continuing to revisit this item under the guise of further discussion only reinforces to me that this remains a political exercise, not legitimate governance. At a time when we actually have real work to do on this council with our parks, the road bonds, setting the 2026 tax levy, to name a few. In preparation for tonight, I did reach out to my attorneys and my legal counsel to have them review the City Council Code of Conduct. Based on that review, they concluded there have been no violations of any mandatory provision of the code. Any attempt to assign so-called named wrongdoing is unsupported and appears designed for optics rather than substance. For clarity for everybody here in the room tonight, it is important to understand what a censure or vote of no confidence actually means in city government. These actions are not ordinances, nor are they laws. They are non-binding resolutions. Attempts to regulate the speech of an elected official conflicts with our First Amendment, which protects speech on matters of public concern. That protection includes the ability to speak about public policy, government actions, other public officials, including through public statements, social media, and interactions with with members of the public. When a resolution conflicts with the Constitution always prevails. And last time I checked, we were living in America, not communist China. And I am very proud to be living in America. Accordingly, any censure or similar symbolic action, again, whether it's done tonight or in January, does not establish policy or accountability. Prolonging this process only consumes taxpayer time, staff time, and resources, which is not what I believe our community expects from us on this council. So I believe it is time for us to move forward, get back to business at hand, and put these disputes to the side. And so that is why I was not here Wednesday. Councilmember Fraley, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I was just wondering why you didn't reach out to the young lady when she sent the email to you and have a discussion with her and possibly Councilmember Zahn, who, according to this young lady, the conversation was on how to humiliate him and have him resign from office? Why didn't you reach out to her and sit down and talk?
I'm not going to get into a tit for a tat or a he said or she said. There were certain people at the meeting that I was at, which was to talk about the 2026 budget. And another topic of conversation was the local option sales tax, and explaining that and how some residents and business owners met. So I'd like to keep focused on business at hand and not get into down in the weeds on this.
But you didn't answer my question.
I respectfully decline.
All right.
Councilmember London.
My question would be the same as Councilman Fraley's about what occurred and why did it occur?
I don't think people can hear you.
That'd be my question. Same thing as Councilman Fraley is what happened at the business in Brainerd when you had these conversations with your companions about Councilman Zahn.
Yeah, and again, I've put out a press statement on that and I've shared my perspective here, so I don't have anything to add at this point. I think it's better to keep focused. We have a full agenda to focus on the actually doing the city's business tonight. Councilmember Zahn.
I think this is a part of the city's business. It's not the most desirable thing to have to talk about, but accountability has to be discussed. Otherwise, well, what separates elected officials from their dual hats as citizens and council members or mayors? I'm going to clarify one thing in regards to a comment you made, Mayor Carnahan, that I don't think that this is even remotely close to personal for anybody up here. And I want to be very clear with that. It's the conduct of a sitting mayor in the general public, regardless of who was talked about, it was heard per that email and per the statement, not just by one, but multiple employees of that business and multiple customers of that business. It was brought through the proper channel to email directly to you. Councilmember Hall was included on that email. Not sure why, but he was. That was an opportunity to be able to respond to that, to Ms. Foster in regards to why you felt it was appropriate to discuss those specific items in regards to trying to, quote, embarrassing me and perhaps I will then resign. I don't take any personal stab at that. It is what it is. As an elected official, you sit on this side, you represent the nearly 2,000 people in this community, my hometown, know many of you. And I would defend any of you if you were in the same situation that Ms. Foster is in. Ms. Foster has been brought through hell and back in regards to this situation. Scoff at it as you want, ma'am, but it is true. Mayor Carnahan's actions were just that, and that's fine. But what she has gone through, Ms. Foster has gone through the week after that email was sent, was very difficult to be accused of assaulting a public official. Now, as our good Nisswa Police Department has done the investigation, turned it over to the city prosecutor, that prosecutor denied not once but twice the charges for assault. What it appears to me, and I believe the rest of this council and a broad swath in the public that's not here or here, is that this is something to try to scare Ms. Foster into you not having to respond to that email, and that's just fine. But it's the conduct of an elected official that represents my hometown, our town. Is that proper? Is that befitting of a mayor? I don't believe it is. And I believe that the other council members that called the meeting on Wednesday last week also felt the same way, hence why they called it. And accountability for the behavior that was had in the last 2 weeks needs to be addressed. Appreciate you attending this meeting. It would have been good to have you there last week to be able to answer this and be able to run this to ground properly. But yet, we are here again because you weren't here last week. But your mother came, and it was good understanding to be able to see her perspective, and disappointing to hear that there has been acts, perhaps, of racism or bigotry that you've experienced in this community. It is not acceptable, and I would encourage any resident in this community to not behave in such a manner. We are respectful to one another. We care for one another. We want to unify this town. This is not any political stunt, as you have alluded to, Mayor Carnahan. This is simply, again, accountability. So is there any opportunity for you to, again, now answer Councilman Fraley's question?
I don't have anything further to add. It's clear to me, which is why I said this is performative politics. that individuals on this council have created their perspectives. And it really doesn't matter what I would say at this point, because I don't think those perspectives are going to change. You can feel the way you want to feel. But what I will say is I was duly elected by the people of this city.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
am going to remain mayor. Democracy will always prevail. I appreciate you asking for my resignation last week, Councilmember Zahn. I politely declined. I am going to keep doing good work on behalf of the people. People can believe what they want to. I was in high school once. There was always a lot of gossip either way, and I usually just try to stay out of the fray, and that's what I'm going to do here today. I believe there's a lot more on the agenda to focus on. And so with that, I would recommend we actually get back to the business at hand, because we have a stacked agenda and a lot more to go.
Well, in regards to that, my last remark would be simply, we are not politicking at all on this council. This community does not want politicking. We've never had politicking here until the middle of this year, and we are trying to have decorum and maintain in order to be able to do the people's work. So with that being said, as a public official, elected public officials, we are here to officiate and to facilitate this town's needs. And with that, Mr. City Attorney, I would like to ask, in order to prepare a resolution of a vote of no confidence, would there be enough time to be able to have something prepared for the month of January if it was to be voted on by this council tonight?
If you want a resolution of any kind, excuse me, prepared for your next regular council meeting, then yes, it's possible to do that, but you'd have to tell me what would go into such a resolution.
Okay. Such as,
If there's an expression, a proclamation of any kind by the council that's going to be in a resolution, then there should be some support for that, some reasons for that. If, for instance, it was a resolution suggesting no confidence in the mayor, then it would be best to have some reasoning for that vote.
okay. Do any of the other council members have anything to add?
I would like to also go forward with your request.
In regards to what our city attorney just outlined, Bruce, is there anything that any of you would have to provide additional specifics to include in that resolution?
Not at this time.
Councilmember Fraley?
I agree with Councilmember London.
Okay.
So is there a motion? Or,
Yes.
do you want to make a motion to direct the city attorney?
I'd like to make a motion for this council to direct the city attorney to prepare a resolution for a vote of no confidence to be conducted in the next regular city council meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any additional discussion from council? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Additionally, Mr. City Attorney, I'd like to make a motion for this council to consider a vote of censure to be considered at the same time frame for the next council meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
And lastly, I'd like to make a motion for this council to consider in regard to this topic, the removal from all committees for acting Mayor Carnahan, which is specifically the Personnel Committee and the Liquor Committee.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Any other motions?
None.
All right. Anything else? Otherwise, we will move on to the EDA discussion and determination.
Local option.
I believe that's.
Oh,
passed.
yes, Ron, go ahead.
Sorry, my leg fell asleep.
If you can just state your first and last name and your address
Yeah.
for the record.
My name is Ronald Dewey Jr., and I'm at 26735 Middle Cullen Road. I believe council's actions has severe ramifications, what just happened here. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come to the microphone? Please state your name, full name.
Melissa Straight, Alder Straight. I appreciate the three that have stood up here and stated your statements, because at least you are the three we know who to remove in November at the next election. So thank you for letting us know clearly as the employers who we do not want, that are not supporting who we voted for and put in place. Thank you for making that abundantly clear that your position is up for grabs. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please state your first and last name and your address for the record.
What's that? Someone else want to know? Anyhow, Troy Schaffler, 26359 Shandy Trail, Merrifield. I don't know what's going on here. I mean, this has been going on well before the Sophie thing. I mean, and no one's mentioned this. I mean, it's kind of been a big problem well before that. I remember like half a year ago, the mayor just walked out of a meeting that was being held. No reason, apparently. Well, actually, there was a reason that was given, apparently, because I was here for some reason. But in any event, the organizational assessment, does that ring a bell, anybody? I mean, has anyone read that? I mean, it was horrendous. There was a consistent complaint by staff itself about the mayor and her conduct and how she was running the city. Why aren't we talking about that? Why are we talking about just the Sophie stuff? This is insane. You need to take care of your own employees. They have a tough time themselves. They need to be, their morale needs to be up. And the mayor is at the head of that, kind of directs the whole city itself and how it functions. And no one has even mentioned this. And I find it rather rich that your mayor would mention the First Amendment, considering she's being sued for it right now. So when everyone wants to sit and think they have everything, I guess I would have to blame the council to a degree by not really fully fleshing everything out. Maybe that will come out with this vote and what you guys are going to be drafting with the attorney himself. But that's really all I have to say, is that there's more to this than just the Sophie Foster issue. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward? Again, if you can state your first and last name and your address.
Diane Townsend, 26424 Highland Avenue. I just want to say that after what I read to you guys, apparently you're not bothered if I let out the information I have on city employees.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward? Again, if you can state your first and last name and your address, that would be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. Fred Heidman, 4794 Central Avenue, Brainerd. Lived just outside of the city of Nisswa. I was the mayor for a term or two. I was on this council for a couple terms. I've been watching this whole thing play out. I wasn't even going to say anything, but after Mr. Schaffler was up here, it brought me to where I need to say something, and that is, I don't think many of the citizens know, but well, 4 months ago, I had gotten a call that from a citizen saying that at the next council meeting, Jesse Zahn and Troy Schaffler were going to be making a move to push the mayor out. And I'm a person, when I hear something, I usually like to try to call and talk to that person and see what truth there is to it. So I did give Mr. Zahn a call and mention it to him. And at that time, when I explained it, when I told him, it was dead silent on the end of the phone line for a few seconds. And then it was, well, I haven't talked to Scheffler for like 2 months. And, you know, I don't know that there's anything, I don't know what there is to this. I just ask the question, you know, what is going on in this community?
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward? If you can state your first and last name and then your street address for the record.
Katie Ellsworth, 26210 Edna Lane. I'm new here. I came here a month ago and I came to observe a city meeting. I came to observe a city meeting as a new member of this community. As you can tell, I'm very nervous to be up here because I didn't plan it. I just wanted to comment that from an outside perspective, not having any information about this before this meeting, this council and this community are very dysfunctional. It feels like a high school. I grew up in a town that was smaller than this, and I am very, very familiar with how close-knit it is and how that can also lead to drama. But it can also lead to being very close with each other. And I just implore you, like, this is a mess, and no one would want to come into this. And I want to love this community that I just joined. So maybe try to set aside your differences, figure it out, both the council and the community, because there was a lot of hatred up here too. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward? If you can state your first and last name and your address, and then I will start the timer.
Megan Friedrich, 26694 East Cullen Road. I, like this young lady that was just up here, was not planning on speaking, so I am also a little nervous, but I am sad, I'm heartbroken, I'm embarrassed for the city. I hate seeing what's all over the news. It makes me sad to see our town divided over politics. City council should not be politics. It shouldn't be politicking. And what frustrates me the most is this is happening on social media. And Mayor Carnahan, you're starting it. That's what's frustrating. And I do think we expect more from everyone, we need to be mindful of what we say online. We need to be mindful of our perceptions. But when I'm an executive marketing professional, we have to be mindful of our roles and what we say. And I do think you have accountability and you're not owning up to it. And that's really frustrating. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
My name is Greg Peterson, and I live at 4571 Upper Roy Lake Road. And I've been a citizen of Nisswa for 73 years. And I would just like to say that there was some talk of, we know who to vote for next time the votes come around. Well, I would just like to remind everybody to be sure you Google the people you vote for and know the history of who you're voting for before you vote them. And that would alleviate a lot of the problems that we're having.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, going once, going twice. Okay, we're going to move on to the last item under old business, which is an EDA discussion and determination.
Well, we have number 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped. Number 3.
Okay.
I put an X through it. I'm sorry, Tyler. Number 3, old business is a local option sales tax. For those of you that may have watched or were here in attendance in November, there was discussion and a vote around advancing a 0.5% sales tax increase, which is called the local option sales tax. It has to go through a process. 2 of us on the council voted no to advancing it, and that was largely based on very strong feedback we received from the business community, and 3 council members voted yes to advance the local option sales tax forward. It is my understanding that perhaps based on community feedback, that there might be some changing of votes from the 3 that voted for this last month. So I will turn it over to the Councilmember Zahn, Fraley, and Councilmember London. You are the 3 that voted for it last time. If there's interest in changing your vote or any additional things why this is under old business, please go ahead.
You want to start there?
Councilmember Fraley?
No. Okay, we, Councilmember Fraley, myself, along with Maggie and Amber, were able to meet with both our state rep and our state senate rep, both Josh and Kerry Heinzman here. When was it? Was it last week? Last Tuesday?
Was that a week or 2 weeks ago?
Week and a half ago. There's a lot of truth behind having public support behind having a local option sales tax. It's not an increase. It's the first of its kind for Nisswa. We want to make sure that there's unified support behind it, as do the Heinzmans when they would attempt to bring it through state legislature. What's keen to know is this local option sales tax being advanced by us, as it was last month, would have then gone to the Heinzmans, they would have brought it through the state legislature, and then it would have gone back to the voters of Nisswa. So next November, you all would have had an opportunity to put your vote and opinion on the matter. And that was the intent, I would say, behind my vote. Let these two speak for themselves, is to give you all an opportunity to have your own voice heard on that matter. It's an opportunity that this council, at least in my 4 years here, has not had the opportunity to do quite yet. But after discussions with the Heinzmans, they're under the impression that if there's not unanimous support behind it, as was anticipated, and Mayor Carnahan did acknowledge that at the last meeting, that they would have a tough time being able to get behind such a bill. So with that, I would like to make a motion to rescind my original local option sales tax advancement.
And I rescind the second.
And that is a council motion.
Is there any additional discussion? All those in favor of rescinding signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And
One more thing to add to that.
Go
if I
ahead.
may. I think all of us full-time residents here are very cognizant of the type of community we live in. We see an extreme surplus of folks coming through the community through 371, coming to cabin here, coming to resort here. A local option sales tax, if there is something that we are able to do to capture dollars from those tourists that are coming through town or those guests that are coming through town, is it of the public opinion to perhaps capturing perhaps a fraction of what is coming through on that piece to be able to finance anything from the city, regardless if it's a park or if perhaps it's to pay for the roads and the city streets. This city has very limited ability, whether it's this council or it's the council 20 years from now, there is very limited ability for this body to be able to generate revenue. And obviously that form is tax. We look really at two options in regards to some avenues, say for a road bond, that will go back onto the property levy. And that's a strict management of those cycled projects coming through. A suggestion that the Heinzmans had was perhaps look at something on a different lens versus it being the park. Perhaps city roads and city streets could be something that could be considered. It was an idea. It was something for discussion. Otherwise, I know that when we look at the 2026 road bond and the 2027 road bond, as I discussed in the last meeting, we are looking at substantial cost for those roads. Would that be something that the public would be interested in pursuing? If there's not public sentiment or support for it, then it's not worth it, as was obviously shown here. And we have rescinded our motion on that. But it's something for the public to consider as this council continues to move forward to find the most creative ways possible to keep your dollars in your pocket, as these costs are going to be significant. That's all.
thank you. All right, Tyler. Oh, Ron, sorry. Did you have one comment on the?
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that a local option sales tax cannot be used for city roads. Is that?
Yes, it can, and it's a great example, Ron, is that it's being used in Baxter just for that purpose.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, now we'll move to Tyler, our last agenda item under old business, the EDA discussion and determination. Sorry for the delay.
No, you're all right. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, Tyler Glenn, I'm the executive director of Bladek, which is the Brainerd Lakes Area Economic Development Corporation. My daughter's here tonight, so I'm sure I'm going to be judged for whatever I say. So just FYI, I'm sure people will, as we get into EDA, will start leaving. One comment, Councilman Zahn, that I should be making to open this up is regarding local option sales tax. There is a county local option sales tax already.
County.
Countywide. Yep. It's been in place for about 6 years. They pushed it forward again for another 5 years last year. Those dollars particularly go to road improvements. That's all the money is allocated for. County roads, they generate about between $4.5 and $6 million a year.
Right.
So it's just information that I think is relevant to the conversation that was just had.
I'll throw a hypothetical out there for folks to consider and digest. If we have $10 million worth of road bonds coming up in the 26 and 27 road bond, you amortize that over 10 years, okay? 10 years. That's a $1 million add to the levy that we have right now, which is at 3.7. That's, Maggie, math, 23% levy increase. A hypothetical, unless this council got more creative. What is not wanted, I think, by everybody in this room, including those that sit up here that pay property taxes, is not that. Nobody wants that. So is this local option sales tax a vehicle for the residents of this town to be able to capture, outside of business revenues from the shops that we have in this town and the resorts? Is it an opportunity to be able to capture, as one study afforded, 65-70% perhaps of that sales tax revenue coming from folks that do not even reside in this town?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and it's been a very beneficial tool for the county. I'll just say it that way. It's to this point. But my discussion tonight is related to an EDA. The city of Nisswa did have an EDA, and the EDA was dissolved back in 2016. An establishment of an EDA, an Economic Development Authority, gives the city, really a wide range of ability to do some different things. As you look at this, the city is able to promote economic growth, consolidate powers. EDAs can combine economic and housing development powers into one body. I know that the city doesn't have an HRA, so that wouldn't be, but they fall under the same statute. They fall under the same statute as far as what can be done with an EDA. Now, an EDA has the ability to levy, and I know we're constantly on the conversation around taxing. It's not that an EDA has to do that. An EDA has the ability to do that. They fall under as I mentioned, they fall under state statute 469.1, which does give it the ability to levy. Not saying that you have to, but you have the ability to do that. The amount of the levy would consist of a 0.01813% of the taxable market value. The taxable market value of the city of Nisswa is pretty high. So you don't have to. That's the maximum amount that you can levy each year. The suggestion isn't to do that. It's just that granting the authority to have an EDA again in the city gives you that ability. But it also gives the ability to own property. So in the situation that you have with the city-owned land, the city could actually transfer that land to an EDA and then let the EDA body determine what is the best use of that land. We have applied, Bladek on our behalf has applied for a grant to study that land and to create a master plan with the help of the city. To create a master plan out there. You look at that property, I know that it's, for some folks, it's kind of a sticking point, but the bottom line is there's an opportunity there. And when you look at it from my lens as an economic developer, you have the ability to create mixed use out there, mixed commercial use. You have the ability to put essential services out there, but that property could be used for residential, commercial. You could have a building that has both. You could have both mixed use in that building. I think there's an opportunity to create a plan out there. And, our job as your contracted economic development folks is to help you create a plan and to work through that. But the first thing you would need to do is reestablish your EDA. To reestablish your EDA, it's a binding resolution. You would have to hold a public meeting. And I think that's the right move to make. You would need to, and I'm sorry, I misspoke about this earlier, but you would need to place 3 individuals on an EDA board. The EDA board can also just be the council. It's really dependent on what you guys would like to do with it. But I think, again, there's an opportunity here. There's an opportunity to move this conversation forward, to create additional tax base, and to
I think really use that property out there as a shining light, as an example, as you enter this community. Could be some really good things out there. You can issue revenue bonds, you can guarantee credit enhancements, you can issue general obligation bonds as an EDA. So just taking some of the responsibility maybe back off of the city, transferring that power to the EDA. So with that being said, I'm open to questions, but the bottom line is that, as I mentioned in the document that I sent over for you guys, that in your packet today, moving this forward, at a minimum, you have to have 3 individuals, whether they're council members or citizens. But once you create and hold an EDA meeting, it again opens up public meeting laws.
Does council have any question for Tyler? Councilmember Fraley?
Did you say there's only 3 members on the?
You can, only 3 is required. You can go up to 9, but 3 is the minimum to hold an EDA meeting.
Councilmember London?
No questions. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Zahn?
A resolution
Resolution.
would need to be prepared for the next month's meeting.
Yep, through enabling resolutions, EDAs are granted all the powers described in Minnesota statutes.
Got it. Okay. From your experience, how have you seen that member makeup for the 3?
Typically, council members, if it's going to be 3, City of Baxter, it is their entire council. City of Brainerd is made up of 3 sitting city council members plus plus public members as well. They have a board made up of 9 people. So, yeah, and your meeting schedule can vary. Can be you're required to meet once a year.
Okay. Perhaps that'd be something that could be determined once the resolution is drafted and voted on
Yes,
next month.
absolutely.
If that's the direction of the council.
Yep, and then guiding staff or your economic development contractors to move forward with a plan. Like I said, we've applied for a grant to access some of these dollars that would help us, bring in engineers, bring in, developers to at, our request to make sure that we start to develop a plan that the city wants and that the city can get behind, your EDA can get behind.
And the local business involvement within that EDA, from your experience?
Has been valuable. There's good experience that comes from those who are currently doing business here, but it's not necessary.
Right. I think, at least from my perspective and lens, I'd love to have as
Mhm.
many a part of this as possible, to be able to have as much community input. I mean, the chamber, obviously, as a key component. Okay,
All right, do we have a motion?
Tom?
Tom, oh, go ahead, Tom.
Sorry to interrupt. Tyler, in what you prepared for the council in the
Yep.
packet, you speak to an option. Economic Development Commission. Can you just
Yes.
talk to the merits of that versus a full EDA?
Absolutely, and glad you brought that up. So an economic development commission can be made up, it would be made up of just individuals in your community. It is not made up of any city council members. They're an advisory board, so they're basically just a group that's going to advise the council with different steps forward. Pequot Lakes has an EDC, and they're tasked with, the council tasks them with different activities throughout the year. They act as more of a marketing arm than anything else, but they're also guiding them on city-owned property, on what they would feel is the best use of that property, but they don't have any actual authority.
Okay.
Anything else, Tom? Okay,
I'd like to make a motion, if this council would entertain instructing the city attorney to move forward with drafting of a resolution for an economic development authority. And, I'll stop there.
do we have a second?
Yeah.
Second.
Is there any additional discussion?
Mr. Attorney, I am assuming you're going to need a lot of specifics. I believe the intent of this is to be able to start putting together a body with whoever from this council, but to be able to work with businesses, with Bladec, with the chamber, perhaps, to try to understand what next steps are with the property. There's a ton of concept out there, but we want to be able to have a vehicle. I would like to see the city have a vehicle that is pushing responsible and proper development of that property. So the opportunities that are out there can start to be seized on. So if there's any clarity that you would like now, if you have any.
I don't know, right off right now. I think my first step would be to have a conversation with Tyler about that.
Yeah.
Is your, if a resolution is gonna be passed to form an EDA, is the main objective that land? Is it other things? Yes, as Tyler described, an EDA can be very comprehensive, lots of different, like he said, taxing authorities, a lot of things. There may be some things that are part of an EDA that you wouldn't want to have. And if this is directed just toward processes for that land development, then that would probably help aid the resolution.
Would you be under the,
Go ahead.
would you be under the impression that it would warrant a special meeting to discuss this? So we can put all cards on the table as to what council believes?
And I think that that's probably useful because that would help you sort of game plan what you want this to look like. Tyler could be part of that conversation again if he's willing to, because he's got the experience in this, but it certainly would help in drafting a document for you and in helping shape kind of what your goals are in forming an EDA.
Because I would see that once this, if the purpose was to be for that, the
land,
the property, correct? Why let all of that momentum and talent go once it gets to the point where it's at?
Yep.
I would see that there likely would be benefit for the community long-term to not only just establish, but to be able to maintain that EDA. So.
If I may, the other comment to make, excuse me, is that okay?
Go ahead.
Carmen? Is that, does currently, and I'm asking this of Tom, does the city at this point handle the requests of either tax increment financing, tax abatement? They don't, have those come to before the council at this point? Have any requests for
We've seen
TIF financing? Okay.
We've seen one TIF project that I can think of in recent memory, and that was Sportland.
In the last 5 years, right?
Yeah.
So those requests, again, as we build out a resolution, those requests could be made directly to an EDA.
Yep.
And the EDA then makes the recommendation to the full council in regards to requests for tax increment or tax abatement. We're not seeing much tax abatement these days. Tax increment financing is pretty prevalent, especially in this county.
So the idea of a special meeting to give some sort of, put some flesh on the skeleton of the idea of an EDA does make sense.
And it'd be great to have the full council here.
Yep.
So it was my understanding that I thought we had talked about, Stephen, correct me if I'm wrong, doing that in January, either a special meeting or a workshop to get clarity and have discussion on this. So then we would have all the inputs to be able to drive the resolution forward.
A special meeting?
Yeah, we had talked about either doing a special meeting or a workshop in January
Is there
so
one
that we could have the dialogue around it and get the inputs. So that then Tom, our city attorney, would have what he needed to draft the resolution. So we'd have more discussion. And I know there was discussion about having Tyler being a part of that.
Yeah, happy to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Staff's been great to this point as well. So they're, good guidance from them regarding this.
You're gone the entire month.
Right,
of
and since you
January,
know that
though.
I'll be gone for
Yeah.
the month of January, I'm okay with I'm okay with the council to move forward with this.
Okay.
With me not there, I'm happy with that.
So Tom, then would it make sense then to pull back the motion in second and then we'll work on a date for this meeting? We can confer offline and figure out when Tyler's available.
Mayor, if the motion, I don't remember if it passed.
No, we didn't. It was a motion in a second and we were still in discussion. So I haven't actually called the vote.
I think your motion is okay to go ahead and take a vote on now. If you vote on this, you're really talking about a concept.
Okay.
And then following that, then you'll start to give that concept some more details. So we can go ahead and.
Okay,
Start.
so if there's no further discussion, then I would like to call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Tyler.
Tyler.
Thanks, Tyler.
Okay, now we are under new business. The first item is the Brainerd J.C.'s use of the city property. Do we have anyone from the J.C.'s that wanted to come up to the microphone?
Event tenants. I live at 2424 East Park Lake Road, Nisswa. Involved with Brainerd AC for multiple years, after and where this looking for permission and or approval to use. So. Old Stewart Mills lot south of Holiday Gas Station for parking and shuttling to our events per usual, like we've done many years in the past, where we plow it and we clean it the day after the event.
Does council have any questions? All right, a motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion to approve Brainerd JC's use of city property as presented.
Second.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next as well is the Brainerd JC's temporary liquor license.
Yes, I believe this is for the kickoff party that we're hosting at Grandview Lodge. As the kickoff party the night before the event, and we're just looking for approval to get a liquor license for that event.
Okay, do we have any questions regarding the temporary liquor license?
I'll make a motion to approve the temporary liquor license for the Brainerd JCs.
Second.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Okay, next up, because we switched the order a bit here, is the Big Axe Brewing small packaging liquor license. Do we have anyone from Big Axe that would like to come and address council regarding the small packaging liquor license? Okay, council, there was information in the packet. If there's no one here from Big Axe, but do we have a motion or?
I'll make a motion to approve the Big Axe Brewing small packaging liquor license as presented.
I'll second.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Next up is planning and zoning. We have a new commission appointment, and Stephen, if you want to come up, that would be great.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So yes, we have held interviews for some potential candidates to fill the vacancy and start a first term for the Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment. Post interviewing the applicants, we do have a recommendation to bring forward to you guys in your packet. The recommendation from the interview committee is for appointing Aaron Baseman as a Planning and Zoning or Planning Commission Board of Adjustment Commission member.
Does council have any questions for Stephen regarding the recommendation for the new appointee to the Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment?
No, I'll make a motion to approve the Planning Commission's recommendation to appoint its new member, Aaron Baseman.
Second.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Congratulations, Aaron. Okay, next up, we have Lonnie benefits request. Lonnie is here with us, so I'll let you come to the microphone, Lonnie.
Wow, I think I've waited on a lot of you, actually, or your parents.
My parents,
So,
my first beer, my last beer, my next beer.
a lot of you have heard me say, 40 years, it's been 40 years. I'd written a letter to the city council asking, I am tired. I have loved working for the city of Nisswa. It's been a blast. Met a ton of great people. I worked with great people. I am asking, I've been there 40 years. I'm tired. I'm a little tired. I'd like to drop one day down to 32 hours, which actually every day I'm there before 8 and every day I'm there after 4 is overtime now. So it wouldn't really be 32 hours. It'd be more like 34 to 35 a week. And I'm asking if I could keep my benefits because, man, I've priced them and I can't afford them. And I'm not getting any younger at all. So that's what I'm asking. That's what my letter was for. And if you have any questions, please ask.
Yes, council, are there any questions for Lonnie? Councilmember Fraley, do you have any questions?
Greatly appreciate all the time you've put in.
Thank you. I
And when,
loved it.
and when I was drinking, you had to put up with my crap.
Not that.
No, I have no
not
questions.
anymore.
Okay. Councilmember London, any questions?
Thank
or
you so
comments?
much for many years of service.
Thank you.
Councilmember Zahn.
Just for some clarity, and Maggie, I might need to look to you, but 32, at least in the private world, 32 hours a week is full-time.
Our policies state that full-time is 40 hours.
It's different with, yeah,
City employees.
public employees are, it's based differently.
What
But
I-
don't. Benefit earning employees are eligible for at least a prorated portion of city-provided benefits. Such employees must be year-round employees who work at least 20 hours per week on a regular basis. Am I correct in that?
I'm not sure what you're reading.
Are you reading the email that?
This is from Maggie, or if this is from.
Yes.
Maggie, it's from the labor attorney.
Okay, so I did reach out to our labor attorney and asked the question that Lonnie is looking to reduce her hours. Their conclusion is that I'm gonna just read their whole conclusion. It says the city should continue to provide all legal required benefits to eligible employees. The city is not required to provide city-provided benefits for eligible full-time employees to part-time employees. Moreover, providing eligible full-time employee benefits to a part-time employee is generally not advised because eligibility is governed by laws and internal policies. Deviating from those may create future issues by establishing unintended precedent and increase cost. For these reasons, the city-provided benefit should be administered consistently in accordance with the city's defined eligibility criteria.
What did that mean? That was a lot of words.
Well, I guess how I interpreted that is their statement that it's setting a precedent?
Yes, because currently we do not provide the city's contributed benefits to any part-time employees. The only benefiting employees that get paid the city's, I'll say, health benefit are full-time employees working 40 hours a week.
I will say,
40 years.
40 years.
when I first started working for the city, we didn't have insurance.
No.
We had our own insurance, and it wasn't until, and I started there in 85, it probably wasn't until 90-ish when we finally got benefits. I never got a handbook saying 40 hours only, and that's who gets benefits. That handbook was not out there, not available. I feel like the city failed to plan for people like me, Terry, and Tim Crimmins. We're the only three at the Pickle getting benefits, and we're all got one foot out the door and the other on a banana peel.
Yeah.
I just feel like the city did not plan well, thinking when we're given insurance, and whenever that 40-hour rule was made up, the gals over here were all in their 50s, and they were one foot out the door too. And over there, we were all in our 20s. I thought I'd do it for a summer or two and get the heck out of there, but boy, where'd those 40 years go? So I feel like the city failed to plan a little bit for us who ended up staying.
I look at, she's dedicated 40 years of her life to this city. Why can't we do something?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I completely agree. I mean, Lonnie, quick question.
Sure.
How quick are you wanting this to go into place? Or do you think that we could try to, perhaps as a liquor committee and council at the next meeting, be able to try to address exactly what you just stated, to be able to find a solution? Because you are right.
Yeah, I got a
I don't want to
name.
call Terry old, but you know,
I'm 2
You
weeks
got a
older
new-
than him. He will remind everybody, 2 weeks older.
it,
I'm okay waiting.
table for a month and try to get some common ground solution from now
Absolutely.
till, I think it's Tuesday, January 20th.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yes,
And you
I
have-
go back working full time. I just drag my new knee back to work. It's a new knee, and I thank you all for your consideration. I truly do. It's just, yeah, I'm a little tired.
I hear you. Just don't pick up the kegs anymore.
I don't have to.
Terry can do
I have
that.
to. I don't have to anymore.
Hey, thank you for the 40 years
Yes.
too.
And
Yeah.
thank you all for your consideration.
Did you get a gold watch though? That's the thing that I'm wondering,
You
There-
what?
Did you get the 25-year gold watch?
There were a few,
Where's that?
Yeah, what handbook are you referring to, Mark?
there were some individuals that had wanted to speak, when this agenda item came up. I don't know if they still want to, but I don't want to exclude anyone. Bonnie, if you wanted to say something, I know you had wanted to during public comment, so we'll let you come back up to the mic.
And I've only known her for about 40.
Yeah. I was going to ask, and a lot of this has been answered, but exactly how many employees we have that have been in Nisswa for 40 years. And Lonnie has been, and I know I'm speaking to the choir of many of you, Lonnie has been the face and the heart and the soul of the pickle factory for the past 40 years. And I winter in Mazatlan, Mexico. I walk down the street with my pickle factory shirt on, and people say, I know the pickle factory. I love the pickle factory. And it's because of Lonnie and Terry, he's not here, and that they are saying that. So I would say we need to take care of our own. I mean, 40 years should mean something. And so I would just encourage you to consider taking care of Lonnie.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Now, Ms. Bonnie, on that point, actually, I'll say if you wear a pickle shirt when you go down the beach or the street in Fort Myers Beach, Florida, you will get tackled. You're like, you've been there? Like, I live right where the pickle's at. Even better.
Fred, did you have something related to this topic?
I do, real quick. Fred Heidman. I certainly see both sides of this. So Lonnie, just be patient. First of all, setting precedences are a nasty, nasty idea, okay? But that being said, is it possible for the council to have some discussion with our attorney or some other attorney, whoever the mindset is, and set a age, or not age, but a number of years? If you've worked for the city X number of years and you move from 40 to 32 hours, can there be, is it possible to have some sort of an employee exception, or not even exception, but an employee rule there? I have no idea, just bringing up the idea. Because precedents are, they come back to haunt you in 5 or 10 years, or 1 year, whatever it is. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
I have, sorry.
Anything else on this topic? Okay, otherwise it sounds like we're going to table and we'll bring this back to the January agenda.
I think Liquor Committee perhaps could take an attempt at this. Yeah, and then working with Lonnie and the pickle, actually Maggie as well as staff, and we'll go back from there and have something hopefully in place for the January meeting. So Lonnie, give me a call. Actually, I'll call you.
Okay, next on the agenda is also related to the Liquor Committee. It's credit card fees. Is Brian still here? Yes, he is.
Thank you, council, for letting me represent this after we had discussion on it last month. Nice to see all the Nisswa citizens here. Thank you for the business, for the people that stop in. We really appreciate it. We were discussing pass-through, and for the citizens that are not familiar with the situation, some businesses, if you use a credit card, they pass that charge along to you. And if you use cash, you have you get the price that's on the shelf. Now, talking of that and doing more research on it, just to let you know, I am not in favor of that. I consider that another tax on the citizens of Nisswa and people coming here, and we want them to spend their money here. But if we were to do that, we would have to label our shelves and say, this is a credit card charge that you would pay, and right next to it would say, this is the cash price. And then when they We would also have to post it on the front door. And we would have to remind them when they are going through the checkout, when they're paying for that product. Now, we did a study on that where the MMBA, which is the Minnesota Municipal Beverage Association, did a study with the members out there, and overwhelmingly, municipal managers were not in favor of this. And I'm right along with them. I'm saying if we need to, we would have to raise our increases on our product. Now, excuse me. And I'll get back to that. But one thing I want to look at and say, if we go into a large store, if you go into Total Wine, or if you go into a big chain, MGM, are they doing this? Absolutely not. I know of no chains in the state of Minnesota that are passing the credit card charges on to the customer. If you go into Walmart, you go into Menards, none of those businesses are. Now, if I was a small boutique or a small liquor store out in the middle of boondocks and we did not have very much revenue and we're going to be paying 4% for a credit card pass through, I would definitely recommend and think about doing that for a small business. But we're not a small business in Nisswa, and our credit charges aren't 4%. So I'm totally against that. One thing some residents and members of the council just brought up and said, hey, is there opportunity just to increase our percentage? If we're paying 2% for a credit card fee, which does add up at the end of the year, it's a little over $100,000. So I mean, we're talking real money, but if we were to increase it 2% on our business or 1%, and my thought on that is I monitor the competition all the time and I'm seeing what they're selling for pricing, and I want to stay competitive. I want people to feel good about shopping at Spirits in Nisswa. We try to be as friendly as possible, be knowledgeable, and to have a fair price out there. I say we're not the cheapest, we're not the most expensive, and we beat the big chains in some areas and they beat us in some areas on pricing. But if I look at it overall, we are very fair on what we charge our customers, and to me, that is really what we want to do in Nisswa. We want to be fair to our citizens and fair to our customers. And just an example on that, each year, the liquor, I'm just going to speak on spirits. We give $245,000 to the city, and that lowers the levy. Now, in addition to that, we have anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000 in extra money that we have in profit. So that can range between $350,000 to $450,000. And I really don't think that we need to increase and make more money above that. If we have more business and we sell more product, we definitely want to have more money, but we don't need to make more money on a 12-pack of beer that our Nisswa citizens are coming in. So that is the background on it. And I'm asking the city council to vote no on a pass-through credit card charge to the customers.
Well, Brian, I apologize.
Does council have any questions for Brian? Councilmember Zahn?
I do. Brian, this was discussed in the committee. We agreed and determined that it wasn't the best path forward. So what is the council motion that you're requesting tonight?
I am asking the council to dismiss just future discussion, or I should say it within the next year, of passing on, mandating that Spirits in Nisswa pass on the credit card charges to the customer.
Nobody's mandating it.
Do you have any questions for Brian?
No questions.
Councilmember Fraley?
I just have a comments. Brian and I discussed this, and it is kind of that the fee for the credit cards, which I found out it's basically built into the budget, the expenditures.
Right in my budget. It's just, we pay it as though we were paying a late bill.
Right. So we're not losing anything. The other thing too is we discussed an up north municipality. I also talked to another one up north where I know the manager, and they both did that where they passed the credit card on, and they actually lost business, which was more than what they were previously paying on the credit card fees. So I know I was all in on this for you to look at that. Right now, I think we should stay how it is. That's just my opinion.
Brian, if none of the council are interested in advancing, like, or passing through a credit card fee to customers, I don't actually know that we need
We
to
don't
make a
need a
motion on this.
motion. Okay.
If we're all in alignment, we can hear and we appreciate you bringing this forward, and I'm
Well,
sure
thank
the
you for
public
your
will be
time.
happy to know that there's no credit card fee passing through.
I think it was after the quick
Yeah.
conversation we had, the discovery that you don't specifically have that as an offset from the levy. That was quickly determined. So,
Right.
I would agree with Mayor Carnahan. There's no action to take on this.
I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page and that we had all the facts.
Thank
So,
you for
thank
being
you.
here.
On the same page.
Okay, next up is the police joint prosecution agreement. Maggie, would this be you or Chief Schmansky? Okay, oh.
Good evening. So this is a contract we've had for a long time for prosecuting traffic offenses, misdemeanor criminal offenses. Split three ways between Brainerd, Baxter, and us. Brainerd kind of heads the whole thing up, and we just tag along basically. We're just asking for approval to continue doing this.
Does council have any questions for the chief? None? Okay, the only thing I want to state, just before I call the vote, because we did receive an email, I think it was sent to the full council. It was sent on Tuesday, December 2nd at 8:58 a.m. by a gentleman named Shane, and I did tell him that I would acknowledge that we received his email. Maybe it only came to me and not the full council. But he attended the Brainerd City Council meeting in right, you guys got it? Okay, so we did receive an email from someone in the community that had attended the Brainerd City Council meeting and just sent the council an email to express a different perspective about moving forward on this agreement. I did state to him that I would share it publicly in the meeting, so I just want to note that. But with that, do we have a motion from council?
I'll make a motion to proceed with the recommendation for the police joint prosecution agreement.
Do we have a second? Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have, related to our sewer, a resolution adopting an increase in the sewer rates for 2026. Tom, our Director of Public Works.
Good evening, everyone. This is routine. Usually we do in December. The rate changes usually at this time, and this allows, when Maggie does the billing, send out notice of the increase. So you should have a copy of this resolution in your packet. Basically, the rate will go up 2.5% for 2026 for usage, which will take it from 214.78 to 220.15 per quarter per ERC. Connection fees, we have two different areas for connection fees. We're holding the higher of the two flat again. I think this is either the fourth or fifth year that we
Bless you.
held that flat at 16,000 for a connection. And then the smaller of the two was at, I believe it was 11,850, is going to go up to 12,250.
Does council have any questions for Tom? All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution adopting increase in sewer rates for 2026 as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next, Tom, lift station number 7.
Okay. So what this is we have some problems with pumps that are in lift station number 7. Mike Deck, our sewer plant operator, has done some work to get some pricing for both new pumps and to have the some pumps that we salvaged out of our lift station 3 rebuild, to have those refurbished and installed instead. So what he has given me is that if we were to install new pumps, just one of those would be a little over $21,000 each. We can upgrade the pumps that we've salvaged out of lift station 3, both of them for $16,755. And we're recommending that step to go forward.
Does council have any questions for Tom regarding the lift station? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the sewer lift station number 7 repairs as proposed.
Second.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Tom, the build grant 371.
Yeah, so really all this is just a notice to the council that if you're familiar, I think it was earlier in the year, we were looking at something called a raise grant. And there's several intersections along 371 that MnDOT is targeted for improvement. And now there's funding coming back available through what they call now the build grant. There's really nothing that the council has to do, I think, at this time. This is really just letting you know that it's not dead. There's a project that's probably gonna happen here. The funding would be applied for through the county. What they would be looking from us is probably another letter of support when the time comes. So just trying to get that sentiment from the council, how you feel about that. Any questions or concerns that I can relay back to Tom Crushank with MnDOT.
Any questions or concerns for Tom to relay back at this point from council?
No.
Okay, anything else? Do you need a motion from us right now or not yet?
The only thing I could think of is if there's, in the original raise grant, there was a letter from the city written by Jenny Max in support to that for the county. I think when the time comes, you'll just have to appoint somebody from staff to write that letter, whether it's myself, city engineer, or maybe Maggie, or some combination thereof.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Amber is not available. Are you talking about the Safe Streets and Roads for All?
I do not know a lot about this, Dave. I don't know if, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
go
can
ahead.
Take that one. So Safe Streets for All is a program that is a multi-community effort. It's being led by the city of Cross Lake. What you've got before you tonight is just a request to reaffirm City of Nisswa's support of that program and being a part of the program. It's not a cost item or issue for the city. It's just reaffirming your support as part of that program. And long-term, it could result in potentially some funding.
Do you need a motion from council or at this point in time?
I believe it's a motion, yeah.
Okay. Are there any questions about this program from council? Okay, do we have a motion?
It's a motion for the resolution, approve the resolution, just FYI.
Okay.
Mark?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for co-applicant on the SS 4A grant-funded Brainerd Lakes Area Volunteer Users Plan as presented.
I'll second.
Second.
I think Councilmember Zahn's second was first. Okay, any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next on the agenda is park, also the park. It's engineering for the Nisswa City Park, an update, and to revise the scope. Yes, Bruce, I know you did send an email to council about this as well.
Well, with Amber not being here, I'd be happy to speak on this for the Park
Go ahead.
Commission. Yes, thank you. By the way, I got up to speak about the EDA and you were kind of moving forward. So I just let you know, I spent 15 years on an EDA and I'd be happy to pass some thoughts on to you guys for that.
Thank you.
So, anyway, yeah, Bruce Imholt, Nisswa Parks Commission. So at our last meeting, the Parks Commission is requesting that the City Council approve moving forward with engineering for laying out the design for the playground and the pickleball court. And the rationale behind that is in order for the city to have a better understanding of what the costs are, because you have a fundraising committee out there you also have to have a grant to the DNR by March 31st, I believe. And both of those processes are going to require better than just a ballpark number, which is what we have now. You know, this number goes back 3.5 years. It was kind of, you know, here's what happens, here's what the cost of the equipment is, but I don't know that there's a harder number. And I believe that if I was going into a business or an individual and asking for money to support this project, I'd want to have a little better idea specifically, what does it cost for a pickleball court? What is it going to cost to lay out the whole design? Certainly the DNR grant is going to, well, it doesn't have to have a lot of detail. It does need to have some specific ideas and some specific costs into it. So we're encouraging the council to approve this, and it can be a very, you know, a very basic engineer design. It doesn't have to be all the specs, and I know, you know, you got Widseth here, but I would say, having been through this process before, if the city's going to act as the general contractor, which they should be able to be, to do that, you can get a very basic outline, and you should be able to have that done within 30 days, so that by February 1st, we've got the opportunity to get this information to the fundraising committee and then start preparing that DNR grant. It would really be, in my mind, and I think the commission felt the same way, a disservice to the city of Nisswa if we were to miss this grant deadline this year, because now you're a whole year later. And number one, on these grants, you're not, I mean, just because it's 350 or 500,000, whatever the number might be, that doesn't mean that we automatically are going to get the dollars. Right. We're going to be out there with a pool of other applicants. So we need to get our application in. We need to have that as fine-tuned as we can. And then even if we ask for 350,000 or whatever, that doesn't mean they'll give us the state, the DNR will give us that full amount. So whatever we can do to be prepared to have this ready to go, we should, as a city, I believe we should do that. That's what the Park Commission's recommending. There was a suggestion here from from several council people in the past. I heard that to fund this park improvement project, you're going to transfer some funds from reserves, which you can then do this for the engineering part of it. And that way it doesn't affect either your 2025 budget or the 2026. So whatever that dollar amount might be, I'd encourage you to approve that, and then let's move forward with this.
Now, you know, Bruce, I just one question. You want the engineering for the playground and the pickleball courts, correct?
Correct. That's, okay. I believe what the Park Commission has recommended is what we call phase one.
It was just worded differently in what I have in front of me. So I just wanted to clarify.
Sure.
Are there any additional questions at this time? Maggie, do you have something to add?
No, but Dave might.
Oh,
just
Dave,
because
do
we
you?
already
Sure.
kind of have a scope that we started
Right.
last year.
Yeah, so I think we just need to brush up the scope from the already approved engineering agreement for assisting with this park project and the outdoor recreation grant. That scope needs to be brushed up a little bit. I don't, at this time, foresee that we need to have a change in what the amount is.
Okay.
We've spent some of that budget on surveying already and some other work toward that before the work was stopped. This goes back to 2024 when it was started. So we just need to restart that effort and then work towards the deadline for the grant submittal. So
Do you anticipate that we could have some numbers by February 1st then? Some hard numbers?
Yeah, I think with some discussion with the park members, we can, and Amber, when she's back, we can get that put together.
Yeah, our next meeting is January 8th if you're available.
Okay, that would be fine.
So you think that'll stay within the budget that we already set back then in 2024?
Yeah, the only thing that would possibly affect that with these grant applications, there's always some environmental review and clearances that need to happen with state money. And so, you know, that may involve either environmental or cultural resource investigation, just a basic step one on those to get through that process. And we had that already in this scope. So we would just continue that work, and that would be included with the application.
Yeah, I'm sure from an environmental standpoint, everything's good.
Well,
Move on.
yeah,
Right, let's-
yeah, it's- until you do the work, yeah, we hope
I
that way.
understand,
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Yeah, but if we have to do wetland delineation or something like that, if the state comes back with a further request, then we'd be back before the council to adjust the budget for that.
Okay, do we have any other questions at this point in time? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to move forward with engineering for the playground and pickleball courts following the footprint of the park master plan as presented.
Second.
Any additional discussion?
Where are the funds coming from?
I would have to go back and look to see, my guess is the capital reserve, because this was approved already and I didn't have time to go back and look to see where those funds were coming from, but my guess is.
It could be budgeted, but it could also have to come from unreserved. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next under park is transfer funds to the parks from reserves. Maggie, do you want to speak to this since Amber is not here?
Yes, and Bruce, he can come in if he feels like I'm missing something, but the Park Commission is talking about applying for this DNR outdoor recreation grant.
Matching.
Yeah, for matching funds. I think it's up to $350,000 for this year. And they are looking to kind of get a jump start, whether they get the grant or not. This would be a jump start to start improving some of the things at the park and the playground. I know that the playground is phase 1A, I will call it, that the Park Commission wanted to do first due to the condition of the playground and the need to replace that in the near future. And then plan AB or 1B would be pickleball. So depending on kind of what kind of funds we get, whether it's matching grant from the DNR, we could use those funds as well to replace the playground and the pickleball, as that is part of phase 1. We all are very well aware that there's a fundraising group out there that is working to raise funds as well that could help assist with some of these repairs and new additions with pickleball and tennis.
Okay, does council have any questions on this request coming from the Parks Commission to approve a transfer?
No, in fact, I'd like to make a motion to approve the transfer of $500,000 from the liquor fund to the Parks Reserve.
I'll second.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next up is the resolution approving the final 2025 tax levy, which is collectible in 2026. Looks like Maggie was able to pull off some work here in between meetings and get the resolution for us, which looks like we actually are coming in with a levy decrease. Maggie?
Yes, based on our truth and taxation meeting, you guys had recommended some cuts. My math matched Jesse's, so we are looking at a general property tax levy of $2,914,867 plus some of our bond debt, giving us a total levy for 2026 of $3,721,786. Did I say that wrong?
It's all right.
You know what I mean. Sorry.
Okay.
I could repeat this here again. $3,721,000.
Tell everybody what that.
The total levy is $3,721,786, which equates to a final levy percentage of negative 0.28%.
There you go.
So, do we have a motion?
I so move.
And I second.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Can I just ask?
One more round of applause? One more round of applause? Yeah.
Maggie?
Who made that motion? Who seconded?
Jesse?
No,
Jesse?
Mark made the
Jesse.
motion.
Okay.
I seconded.
Thank you. Sorry, I
Okay.
was behind.
Then next, we have the resolution adopting the City of Nisswa budget for the calendar year 2026, which is the budget document, Maggie, that I believe you also distributed.
That's
I make
correct.
a motion to approve the resolution adopting the City of Nisswa budget for the calendar year 2026 as presented.
Second.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next up is the WIDSEF 2026 fee schedule. Dave, I don't know if you have any comments on this other than
Yeah.
what's in the packet?
Sure. So this is annual cost of doing business adjustment in our fee schedule that we typically issue to the city at this time each year. It's got a memo from us in there with some comparison to what we see as the inflationary rate to do business in Minnesota. So our rates are increasing about 2.5% for the folks that typically are working on city business.
Okay, are there any questions for Dave? All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve WIDSEF 2026 fee schedule as presented.
Second? Okay, any additional discussion?
I will add to Dave's points. I'm in a relatively similar industry, just a little bit less heavy on the engineering, Dave. These type of fee increases like we impose to our customers that hire us to build solar farms, substations, transmission lines, our fees are actually higher. The industry standards are higher. This is a relatively reasonable fee increase. I'd like to make that known because I think that what Seth is trying to do a good job for us as a whole, because we allowed another engineering firm to come in and provide services for a lift station, and appreciate that.
All right, thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You're an aye. Okay, motion carries. Then next up is the 2026 City of Nisswa fee schedule. So this is the administrative fee schedule. So different charges related to copies, special council meetings, postage, et cetera. Maggie, do you have anything to add on that? Otherwise,
I will just say mostly, you approved the sewer rates, so that is an adjustment, and we made a couple increases in the community center on page 8, along with some ice resurfacing, increase in cost due to the time it takes us to actually complete that. So there's only just a handful of changes that would be starting January 1st of 26.
okay, do we have any questions for Maggie? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2026 fee schedule as presented.
Second.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next up is the Minnesota paid family leave. Maggie, I will turn this back to you.
As many of you are aware, this is a requirement for us to provide Minnesota paid leave. We are going to be using the state plan. This is a policy that I have created. Tom Pearson has reviewed, given his blessing. The biggest thing that you as a council need to decide that has not been decided yet is if the city will be paying all of it, a percentage of it, or 50%. They're required to pay 50%. So the other percentage that the city's not covering would come out of the employee's paycheck.
So this part in yellow
Yes,
is the required by state law.
yes. And so I just know that we've talked about different percentages within our budget discussion. And so this percentage just needs to be agreed upon along with the policy, but the big
Okay.
piece is that we just haven't decided.
Well, the only question I have about this is part of our labor union negotiations. So if this is a requirement part by state law, then it's okay for the council to motion on, otherwise it's a part of all the union negotiations.
So you can approve it as it's written today, and if you decide to go something different with the union contracts, that would be specified within those union contracts.
Okay. Does council understand it? Are there any questions around this? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Minnesota paid leave policy as presented.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And then we're almost to, we're almost down here. The next item is 2025 budget fund transfers. Maggie, I will turn this back to you.
Yes, so each year during our budget approval, there are some things that need to be transferred, whether it's to investments or to capital reserves. And some of the departments I try to leave to the very end of the year, just due to sometimes the spending habits or things that may come up. And so all of these have been established, I'll say the first 5 items to purchase investments for, I'll say, public works, cemetery, sewer, and fire, along with an additional transfers for some extra dollars that are left in planning and zoning that we would be looking to transfer to the capital reserves.
Okay, do we have any questions for Maggie on these budgeted transfers? Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 budget fund transfers as presented.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right. Now we are to the Verizon cell tower appeal, which was originally item number 3 under new business, but we moved here to the end of new business because we didn't want to short anyone on time. I realize it's late, so we still will not short you on time. Thank you, everybody, for hanging around. So just to introduce this, the city did receive a petition from, I believe it's 33 residents that were appealing the action from the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment as it relates to the Verizon cell phone tower back with the fire department. And this hearing is related to that appeal. So I wanted to, is Paula still here? Where's? Oh, before we go to public hearing, I wanted to give the appellants an opportunity to come up to the microphone first. And Tom, I just want to make sure I'm not doing this out of order. So the appropriate way is to let Paula and her group come up first, then to have the folks from Verizon, and then to go to any public comment.
Yeah, I think that's correct. The appellant should proceed first, but I don't know if you want any background from Stephen or what happened.
Oh,
Planning
Stephen,
Commission Board of Adjustment
yes,
first.
sorry. Why don't you come up first and give some background so everybody here and watching has that context, and then Paula will have you come back up.
Yeah, thank you. So we did hold a public hearing at the November regular meeting, after receiving an application for a variance and for a conditional use permit for the cell tower as proposed. A little bit of backstory, this project goes back to 2016, 2017, where we heard a similar application for a tower within this vicinity, right next to the pickle factory and the ball field there. Fast forwarding from that to the time frame of 2022, 2023, it was discovered that that specific location was problematic for various reasons. So the city and Verizon pivoted to think, okay, where else are we potentially able to entertain an application for a communication tower to remedy some deficiencies that the city's been experiencing in our area. My purview, I did a little bit of research as to when this was before both city council and PCBOA. That information isn't tabulated in your packet here. So 9/17 of 2024, there was a regular meeting at city council where the fire hall location in specific was discussed. Council voiced support of pursuing that as an alternative location. Then in November and December, there were coverage deficiencies and propagation data provided by the applicant. That propagation data was proprietary as disclosed to the city.
Steve, can I pause you right there?
Absolutely.
Do we happen to have that again to be able to use that for reference?
If you require it, I can certainly print it for your guys' viewing, I believe. Verizon is here. Thank you. Would that be a problem in your opinion?
Yeah,
Sure.
that would be appreciated.
Yeah, I can certainly
Sorry,
gather
really,
that. I will certainly quote it for you. In finishing of that summary, moving forward from that propagation information being in front of city council, Verizon approached the city again to get more specific on that location where a site plan was proposed, depicting a 190-foot monopole tower in that vicinity prior to the applicant moving forward with certificate of survey and engineering requirements that would be the embodiment of a variance application or a conditional use permit for the planning commission to hear. They wanted affirmation from the city that was kind of, generally speaking, the location that we're looking for, so they can start the next actions. City council, after planning commission reviewed it on June 3rd, tabled it on 6/17/25. And revisited it and the lease agreement on 7/15/2025, where the council affirmed that location and started that process of Verizon to action an application for a variance and a conditional use permit, where November 4th, last month at the regular meeting, those two applications were heard and approved by the Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment. So that's my summary from staff level, and I can certainly move to print that propagation data, copies of 5, I suppose.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have questions for Stephen before I call up the residents?
No.
No? 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 Okay, thank you, Stephen. All right, Paula, if you want to come up to the microphone.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Paula West. I live at 25839 Trailside Run here in Nisswa. And thank you, Stephen, for that summary. That was very good. And I guess I don't have to then tell you why we were here. I'm representing the 33 residents who all live nearby this proposed location on Trailside Run, on Church Street, on Birch Street. And we filed this appeal because largely we knew nothing about this project until we received a notice of the hearing one day prior to the hearing, and we had no time to prepare for that hearing. So in order to bring this forward, we needed to appeal the process. The cell tower project has obviously been actively discussed for several years now, and the application just came before the Planning Commission then just a few months ago. And as you heard, they approved the site, and what we're appealing is that the Planning Commission and the Board of Adjustment, they approved 6 very egregious variances to our Nisswa land use ordinance in order to place the tower where they're proposing to place it. And again, we were not really aware of this. I asked many residents around town if they knew about this cell tower project. Nobody I talked to knew about it. I guess we have to assume a little bit of responsibility for not paying close enough attention to what was going on with the council and the commission. But nonetheless, it seems that this project has been a little bit under the radar for the residents of this town. We had 2 excellent town hall meetings this year, and the purpose of those meetings was to provide and be transparent with the community about what's going on in the city of Nisswa. But the cell tower project was never mentioned. I was at both of those meetings, and nothing was ever said about that. Up front, I want to assure you and the community that we do not oppose better Verizon coverage. Any of us who have Verizon know the coverage is not good in this area. But what we do oppose in this appeal is the chosen location of this tower at 25639 Main Street, which is right between Hills Crossing and the fire station. We believe that there are better locations to be explored, even though Verizon has explored those. Maybe there's some creative solutions that we can look at. And that's what I'm asking this council to do tonight, is to listen to our concerns and primarily the questions that I intend to raise, and make a decision then about where do we proceed with this project. In order to, just for the community and as a matter of record, the process is in order to place this 190-foot tower by the fire hall, Verizon needed 6 variances to the city's land use ordinance, which were presented and approved by the commission on 11/4/2025. And since this appeal is related to those variances, I'm going to really focus most of my comments on those findings of facts and the variances themselves, and try to explain why we are opposed to the actions of the Planning Commission. And I hope that you will concur after my presentation and the comments of some of the residents here. We have some of the petitioners here. If you guys could just raise your hand if you're one of the petitioners. Many of the petitioners are already to climates warmer than here. So not all 33 are here this evening, but I'm going to list the variances that were approved so that you and the community, and as a matter of record, know what those variances were that were approved. Number 1, there was a deviation from maximum tower height of 150 feet to 190 feet. I don't know if you realize how tall 190 feet is, but if you've been to Bentleyville lately, there's a big green Christmas tree in the middle of Bentleyville, and it stands out for miles around, and that tree is 125 feet tall. This tower was going to be 190 feet tall. Secondly, 42% impervious surface coverage was allowed in a zone where 15% is code maximum. That's almost 3 times the code. Number 3, a setback to the nearest zoned property of 70 feet from where that tower was going to be, was allowed when 190 feet is required in our county, our city ordinance. Number 4, a setback of 33 feet from the nearest property line was allowed where 190 feet is required. There is a residence that, there's a residence that's 70 feet from the proposed tower, and 33 feet from the tower is Hills Crossing assisted living facility. The number 5 variance was a setback of 9 feet from the nearest structure when 190 feet is required. That setback was from the fire hall. And lastly, the 6th variance was a height of 8 feet for a security fence where 6 feet is required. Now, I guess I asked the question, if a project has to have 6 egregious variances from the city's land use ordinance, then why do we have a land use ordinance? This is a very bad precedence for the city to set, and it will open up a zoning Pandora's box at some point. To approve the variances, there is a state law, section 426.357, subdivision 6, that says a variance shall only be permitted, A, when they are in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the land use ordinance, and B, when the variances are consistent with the comprehensive plan. A variance may be granted if a project will result in a practical difficulty or hardship in following the current city ordinance. Now, I want to point out, when these variances came before the Planning Commission, there's 6 variances, but they were collectively discussed as if they were just one ordinance. So they were not individually discussed. The findings of fact that are required and answered by the commission were not discussed as an individual variance, but as a collective group. So the findings of fact, as I said, these are 5 questions that the Planning Commission has to answer in order to approve a variance. And they have to find that there is no problem with these findings of facts. And they did not find any problems with the findings of facts, and there was very few questions that were asked. Number 1, finding of fact, is the variance in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance and the comprehensive plan? Our answer would be no, because, well, it required 6 variances to our land use ordinance. Section 20-418A2 of the cell tower ordinance requires minimizing adverse visual impact of towers through careful design, siting, and vegetative screening. Now, wouldn't a 190-foot tower be fairly visible and have an impact around the city? I live 450 feet from where this proposed tower is, and we, the residents on this petition, are going to have to look at a 190-foot tower every day of the year. Our answer would also be no, it doesn't meet this finding of fact because it's not in harmony with the city's comprehensive plan, which says that Nisswa wants to maintain a small town charm, that historical perspective, and a tower that would be the highest visible structure, 2.5 times the height of the tree line, and directly across from our historical pioneer village, certainly does not convey small town charm and historical character. Findings of fact 2 and 3 is the need for a variance due to circumstances unique to the property and not created by the property owner? And is the need for a variance due to circumstances unique to the property and not created by the property owner? Well, our answer would be no. Although ordinance requires that a cell tower be located on public parkland, there were other possible locations that were reviewed by Verizon. The cemetery was once listed by Verizon as a second location preference, but later said it was too far from downtown. The fire hall is 0.3 miles from the main intersection up here, and the cemetery is 0.5 miles. Now, what difference does 0.2 make? Maybe there's more information that we need to have on that. The new 371 location was determined by Verizon as unsuitable and too far from downtown, though at various times, several of you council members have asked about the suitability of that property. Why isn't that site desirable? And it wouldn't require any variances to put a tower on that property. What other options could have been explored? Was the Verizon antenna at the current cell tower at the city's sewer pond property enhanced for 5G? And if not, could the antenna be replaced for strong coverage? Or could a tower be placed somewhere else with external antennas placed in the downtown area to enhance the coverage that is needed? That is a technology that exists, and our ordinance allows for it. Do we need a 190-foot tower downtown when a few years from now, space-based cellular may make that tower obsolete? So where is the practical difficulty, I ask? When other locations could be explored or could be reassessed for the city's need. Instead, we hope we can find some other creative solutions than where it is presently being situated. Finding of fact 4, will the issuance of a variance maintain the essential character of the locality? Again, what is the essential character of Nisswa? We all love Nisswa for its small town, historical character. I first came to Nisswa when I was 10 years old, and I loved Nisswa. I brought my children here, and they love Nisswa. I've brought my grandchildren here, and they love Nisswa. This is what you hear over and over and over again in our community, why people are still coming here. So I don't believe that it really fits in the essential character of the downtown locality. Finding of fact number 5, does the need for a variance involve more than economic considerations? Our answer is yes. There are current conflicting opinions in the medical community about the long-term health impacts of exposure to radio frequency radiation. Unfortunately, no long-term studies have actually been completed at this time, but there are concerns about exposure for children and the elderly. This tower would be 33 feet from an assisted living facility. The FCC radiation safety compliance documentation presented by Verizon was from the 1997 FCC Bulletin 65. That FCC document has been updated 20 times since then, the latest in 2020. So do we know if this new technology? Do we know if this tower is going to meet the current standards in the current bulletin? There are also personal safety considerations for residents in Hills Crossing and the resident whose property is only 70 feet away from this tower. What if we had a catastrophic event and that tower didn't withstand the event? And there's also the safety to be considered for medevac helicopters. Would the FCC actually provide a permit if they knew that there was helicopters landing in the area? And economics are a concern. The visual impact could possibly reduce our property taxes, our property tax values, and it would definitely impact the ability to develop the rest of the remaining properties in the Poplar Place development, which is just to the north of here and where many of us live. So in sort of conclusion, there are so many unanswered questions that should have been considered to the findings of fact before the Planning Commission made this decision. We in the community, we feel we need answers to these questions before proceeding. Again, we don't want to stop progress. We understand that the tourists and the visitors here, that they're the economic engine that drives this community. But we also want to maintain the character that brings people here. And there are other locations. There's always options. So what we're asking you to do is to, number one, not approve of the variances and the resulting conditional use permit as it stands, and two, to step back and look at some of these other options, work creatively with Verizon so that we can find a win-win situation for everyone, the residents, the merchants, the visitors, and Verizon too. So I leave you with those comments on behalf of our petitioners, and I think there's maybe a couple that want to say something. Pete? And then Roger Landers, who is another appellant to this decision and who is also a previous Nisswa Planning Commission member and a member of the Crow Wing County Planning Commission, has a few comments as well.
Good evening, Council. Roger Landers, 26587 and Edna Lake Road. Well, Paula kind of said a lot, so I'm going to make my comments fairly short because my concern was not only that our Planning Commission Board of Adjustment okayed 6 variances, which is outrageous. I served on the Nisswa Planning Commission in the late 80s, mid to mid 90s. And then again, I served on the Crow Wing County Planning Commission for 8 years. So I had a total of around 15 years of Planning Commission Board of Adjustments experience. And not one time during my experience with Planning Commission issues did I ever see an applicant come in wanting 6 variances. I think that's just outrageous. So enough of that. I just hope that our Planning Commission treats our zoning laws with respect. What I want to focus on are some questions that I don't think that's been answered. So hear me out. So number one, why is Nisswa dealing only with Verizon as our carrier? There's others around. Do we have a long-term contract with Verizon? Is that why we meet with them? And I understand that Verizon doesn't really own the tower out on our Roy Lake Road city property. They lease it. Another tower company owns that tower, and as I understand, Verizon just leases an antenna. So I would like to know if that antenna has been upgraded to 5G network technology, which is definitely needed. And will Verizon own this tower that they're proposing to put up, or is it going to be a tower that they just lease? In the Nisswa Tower Ordinance states that our property out on Lower Roy Lake Road is the first priority or first preference for cell towers, and that's where we have one now. But why is it that Verizon says, well, that property is too far away, and I would assume then the new property on 371 is too far away? Well, why did we put a cell tower out there to begin with, if they knew that it was not going to cover the downtown area properly? Paula talked about cellular and antenna boosters. That's technology that's now available. Has that ever been discussed at our planning commission and at the city council to enhance maybe without having to put up another towers by putting boosters on, say, like the Pickle building or other businesses downtown that would amplify the signal coming from the tower out on Lower Roy Lake Road? Paula mentioned the for those that aren't aware of, we do have a designated medevac helicopter area, and that's in the ball field. And I also think sometimes they use the blacktop behind the fire hall. So my question is, was FAA Form 4760-1, that's the notice for proposed construction, has that been submitted to FAA by the city or by Verizon? And also during the Planning Commission, Board of Adjustment, and maybe City Council meetings, was it ever discussed or questioned FAA involvement with that medevac helicopter pad? You know, it's just a few hundred feet away from the fire hall where this tower is proposed to be built. That's from the ball field to the proposed tower is only a few hundred feet. So those are questions I think that should be asked. And I've talked to Council Member Jesse Zahn, and he feels, and I agree with it, that if we're talking about the new property out on 371 as a proposed site, and now we're talking about here, I think we need to come up with a plan, not just, you know, put one here today and somewhere else tomorrow. I think that we need a comprehensive plan if we're going to continue to put up cell towers. So with that, I thank you very much for your time.
Roger.
Thank you, Roger. Were there any others with the petitioners that would like to speak before I move to Verizon? Go ahead, sir.
Can I get a minute shortly, or?
Well, I'm going to go to the people that are on the petition first, then Verizon, and then we'll go open for public comment.
Sure.
Thank you.
My name is Pete Steiger. I live at 25873 Trailside Run, just on the side of Hills Crossing. Thank you for the opportunity for allowing us to appeal. I was given the opportunity to go around and meet neighbors in our neighborhood, and the three closest people next on Park Avenue here all signed that petition, okay? And Mike is the closest, and he is very much against it. Also, the helicopter I've seen land in front of the fire station when they have the open house. And I know they need FAA clearances for those on the towers and stuff, and that's rather close as well. But my feeling is you have 371, get some use out of that land down there. They have boosters that has been talked about a number of times. And I would appreciate you looking at other alternatives other than right there at that place and stuff. And nobody has talked about the medical interference that could cause with some of the medical equipment that's used in that building. That has not been addressed either. I have not heard that. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no one else from the petition, I would like to turn it over next to Verizon.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Tammy Hartman, and I'm with what's called Network Outreach for Verizon. So when things get escalated at Verizon, I come and speak to city council, mayor, and staff about questions and concerns. And so I didn't hear anything specific that I should be addressing regarding an appeal. It's my understanding that I'm supposed to be talking only about the things that were in the variance application, the conditional use permit. I didn't hear anything that I need to address about that. I think that the variance was appropriate, and that I think that the council should uphold the PCBOA decision and deny the appeal. I will say that just, and I'm open for any questions, but I will say that the RF safety is a common concern that we hear from the public. And Verizon takes that very, very seriously. All the telecommunications carriers take that very, very seriously. We operate our equipment hundreds of times less than what the FCC limits are. That equipment and those frequencies are already in your community. As people have said here before, I think at the water treatment facility, there's already antenna there. Nevertheless, that safety, the question about safety that authority is given to the FCC only. Local jurisdictions don't have any authority to weigh in on that when it comes to permitting. That is only held with the FCC. So I'm open for questions or anything else you may need.
I'm gonna go to public comment first,
ma'am.
and then we'll do questions from council, just to kind of keep it flowing.
Yes.
So for those doing public comment now, you are gonna be limited to 2 minutes. So Fred, I know you were waiting. I will start the clock when you start talking.
Let me know how much time I take. So the comment I wanted to make is I was involved with discussions back in the 2016, 17, 18 timeframe. At that time, there was some discussion about, I don't recall his last name. I apologize. I'm getting old. Don was on the council, sat right where Mark is sitting. Jacobson, yes, thank you very much. And Don was, he was kind of leading that up for the city. And something he brought up, and another person brought up as well, is that at that time, at least, there was supposedly some low height options that could be placed in areas around the deficient neighborhoods. And I'm just wondering if there's anything that's been talked about with that, if that's even possible anymore, if the council is aware of it and given it any thought.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for public comment? Yeah. Again, if you can state your first and last name, address, and then I'll start the timer.
Tina Foster, 6154 County Road 13. Just an observation, we're going to put money into that park. I'm a grandma. If there's a 190-foot tower right next to that park, I'm not going. I'm going to Pequot.
Thank you.
I wasn't intending on speaking to this, but one thing that I just heard, and I want you,
Oh, your
Annie
name?
Johnson. One thing that I just heard that I want to bring to the council's attention is that Verizon was requesting and I heard her say, and it could be semantics, I heard her say the variance is she's asking for it to be approved. When Paula just painfully pointed out there were 6 variances. So I just wonder, to the extent that Verizon is understanding the whole total, and no disrespect, but the extent that they're understanding the total variances that are involved here.
Thank you. Okay, I will turn it to council next. Any questions for Paula, Roger, Verizon? Councilmember Fraley, I'll start with you.
This is to anybody, either Verizon or to Stephen, but were all the forms submitted to the FCC and the FAA over the tower that were needed to be put in? Also, did they okay the site because of the medevac that lands nearby? I know the height requirement, that's no problem with that, but there are some possible interference from the 5G into some of the digital altimeters. So I just was wondering if any of that paperwork was done.
Okay. Fine.
There are certain height requirements where we have to seek only FAA. The FCC regulates our licenses in which to operate frequency. So those FCC licenses are sold to the carriers in auctions in big chunks. And so the FAA license, I think at this height didn't require one. And we had sent some information, I think, to Stephen and your city attorney about that. But at this height, FAA license wasn't required, or lighting the tower wasn't required either, but we did look at both of those. As far as interference with 5G and altimeter, there has been a lot of study on that. And so we do have towers all over the United States that are next to hospitals with medevacs, airports.
And the FAA has to sign off on those.
I'd have to get back to you on that. I would have to get back to you on that. I'm not sure. Is that a statement you're making, that the FAA has to sign off on those?
That's a statement I'm making. This is from what I understand and know.
Okay.
It's the FAA, if there is a medevac landing site.
Then Verizon would obtain that license, sir.
And yeah, and so do we have a copy of that
Well,
for this site here?
Well, we would obtain that license when we actually have a lease, when we have a final construction plan. But until we have that, we wouldn't start that licensing part.
Okay, because I know sometimes what they actually do is come out and look at the site first.
Absolutely.
So have they done that? Come out and looked at this site?
We haven't asked them to, so no, they haven't.
Okay.
We don't have a lease with the city yet. We don't have a final construction plan yet. So it's,
And I know one area where it was done before the company had a lease, they actually had the FAA come out and look at the site to okay it because they didn't want to put the money into building the tower.
sure,
And then the FAA come out and say, no, you can't be here.
right.
So that's what I guess I'm kind of looking for. And I don't know
Yeah,
if so that hasn't been done.
Yeah, but I touched base with our regulatory group yesterday, prompted from Stephen and your city attorney, because that question came up over the weekend.
Okay.
And our regulatory folks said there wasn't any concerns from the FAA, and I thought there was something that was included in the conditional use permit packet as well.
The only thing I would say is what Tammy's saying makes sense about the sequencing of that. Until there's an approval, until there's a lease, until it's a real plan, it wouldn't make sense to go for FAA approval. That wouldn't require Verizon to build based on the permitting and then somehow get reversed by FAA. They would, as part of that whole process though, and then if FAA for some reason told them no, they would abandon the project, I assume.
Correct.
But like many regulatory agencies, or even us here, don't approve things based on concepts. They need to see plans, they need to see approvals. And so without knowing chapter and verse of that process, what she's saying makes sense is that would be a next step if this action's upheld. If once a lease agreement is signed, they would proceed then in that fashion.
Councilmember Fraley, anything else from you? Councilmember London?
I don't know that much about the cell phone towers, but are there any other options available, such as better satellite equipment, something that wouldn't adversely affect these residents, such as this tower?
Verizon is still building cell towers. We're not in the satellite equipment business.
No satellites, okay.
Not yet. I mean, there's a few satellites that are out there, I think, in really remote locations so that you can make calls to 911. But otherwise not currently out there deploying. We're still out using monopoles and antennas on monopoles.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Zahn.
I have a couple questions, so
Mhm.
I don't expect you to know these on your feet, but I hope you know this
I-
council.
And I just was curious, are we sticking to what was in the zone, in the conditional use permit or in the variances, or what is the kind of parameters of?
Yeah, I think yes, we are proceeding based on what's in the record, which is the information that the planning commission and the Board of Adjustment had to consider when it made its approvals. But I do think some of these questions are supplemental to that. I think they're
Are you comfortable?
not going outside the record necessarily.
Yeah, and if you're not wanting to or feeling comfortable to answer any of these questions, that's totally acceptable. But I hope
Okay.
you know that this council tries to be as collaborative with this community as possible. Look at their passion. And we try to represent them and do what we can. When this first was brought up, after the Planning and Zoning, Commission's, decision in November, there was a lot of recapping that I had to try to do for myself because this has been going back and forth for at least a few years while I've been on this council, which has been 4 in total, but, we did discuss this as a council, a few times this year. What caught me off guard is my lack of recollection for the height of the, council-approved tower and my own self-disappointment in that approved height. Now, what was re-given to us in regards to the coverage from the varying tower heights is great to see, because it's been a year since we saw this last. Some questions that I have just to at least throw here away is there's 4 different scenarios of tower height. The tower height that is been pushed forward was a 186-foot tower, that's correct. Now, is there an ability for Verizon to even consider a smaller tower to the extent of what they have here for a 76-foot tower?
No,
Why?
it's too short. It would require multiple towers.
But why?
Well, I mean, because at the higher height gives you
I understand.
more coverage.
I understand that, but we're talking about a town that's 18.36 square miles.
Right.
I think 40% of it's water. We don't have a lot of land. That's why we bought some. We're looking to try to preserve what we have downtown here.
Mhm.
And I think that the consensus amongst this community is that they would like to see that be preserved too. And if there's any ability for consideration for an alternative option versus the 190-foot tower, is there some time that we could afford Verizon and perhaps as the folks that put through the appeal for us to table this, to discuss it, either in January or February, to put all options on the table for any other suggestions versus going this 190-foot tower route? And this is no knock to the Planning and Zoning Commission in regards to the direction that the council gave them. They pushed through 6 variances for the piece of property that this council pushed them forward with. Politely, I'm asking, perhaps even on behalf of the rest of the council, would there be some consideration to be able to,
Not for a 76-foot tower, no.
so it's 190 or nothing?
190 is the most appropriate for the coverage gaps that you have in your community that we're trying to fill.
Okay. All right. Well, that's clear. There's no other considerations?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, no, Jesse, the appeal is over what was granted. So it probably isn't the time to ask for negotiations about different.
Correct.
About
Correct.
different tower heights or any of that. Obviously, lots of information came to the Planning Commission and the Board of Adjustment as they considered this. You're really.
Well, actually, on that same note, Tom, I mean, it's roughly 1,000 pages of documentation.
Yeah.
It's beyond overwhelming.
And you have Planning Commission minutes from that meeting, which are in your packet, which reflect the findings of fact and the considerations, all the information that happened at that meeting that we just have been able to get now just because of backlogs. So, a lot of, especially that piece is relatively new to your packet.
Yeah.
In fact, I think the Planning Commission hasn't had a chance to even approve those yet because they were prepared as they were. And so, they're legitimate minutes, but the point is, all of that information in those minutes, in addition to all this other information, is a lot to consider. But
Yeah.
I just want to make sure to stress that this is an appeal of permits that were granted
Correct.
by the Planning Commission and the Board of Adjustment. And so your focus has to stay on processing that
Permits.
and whether to uphold those permits or reverse them.
So at this juncture, those are the two options, either uphold the permits or reverse the permits
Well,
based on this current appeal instead of like kicking the can down the road to another meeting.
if you grant the appeal, then that means that you are reversing what the Planning Commission and the Board of Adjustment did, whether in whole or in part. If you deny the appeal, then you are upholding what the Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment did. Is there the possibility to continue this discussion if you feel like you haven't had a good enough chance to review all documentation? Yes, I suppose there's the chance to do that.
Mhm.
Before they discuss that, can I make a comment relative to that?
Go ahead.
I listened to every council meeting that discussed the cell tower. I listened to every planning commission meeting. I read all the minutes. At the November 4th Planning Commission meeting, when Stephen went through the findings of fact, and again, each variance was not dealt with individually, and the answers to those findings of fact would be different for each of the separate variances. Instead, they ganged them all together and they collectively talked about them. And as they discussed them, there were very few comments from the Planning Commission members. One Planning Commission member, and I believe it might be the one who voted no, asked about health questions, but nobody had any information to provide him on that. One Planning Commission member said, oh, this fits with the locality because we strive to be a new urban development. And it's like, no, we don't. So I just believe that the Planning Commission, and I'm not trying to knock the Planning Commission because they had a 750-page packet before them when they made this decision. And I read through all of that, and it was a massive amount of information. I just don't think that they vetted the questions carefully enough to be able to have asked all the right questions, the questions that I've just presented to you when they made that decision. So, I guess that's my comment on that.
If I may.
Go ahead, Tom.
Paul is taking issue with the fact that the Planning Commission and the Board of Adjustment didn't make separate findings of fact for each variance. But they did indicate that their evaluation was taking all of those, was applying those findings of fact to each variance. So it's not as though they missed something. They purposely considered, I think, I wasn't there, but they purposely considered that this was one structure. It had various variance needs because of our ordinances. And I guess Steve could verify this, but I think they intended by looking at the minutes to apply the same findings of fact to each variance. I just want to make sure that there's no thought that the Planning Commission somehow thought it was just looking at one variance. They were meeting the findings of fact and their consideration to apply to all six, from what I read in the minutes.
I would like the council to consider tabling this until we have a full council, which I believe at this point is going to be in the month of February. Mark, you'll be here in February, Jennifer and Bruce?
Because I'd like to review the information.
I will not be here in February, but that's okay. I'll join by video.
I make a motion to table this. Table this and propose a continuation to the February regular city council meeting.
Any additional discussion? I can join by Zoom.
Okay.
So I'll still be here. I just won't physically be here. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. I'm sorry, did you?
I know we're all ready to go home. I do want to mention, and maybe for the council to discuss our, at minimum, biannual or twice a year fireworks show and how that cityscape and landscape, and I'm not sure with Verizon if there's any sort of clearance requirement for nearby fireworks with the towers. We're on Lower Roy Lake Road next to the other tower, and that's definitely part of the sky view.
Thank you. Okay, last under new business is a recommendation to move to closed session pursuant to Minnesota statute 13D.03 for union negotiations. Statute 13D.03 subdivision 1B authorizes the meeting to be closed for that purpose. And so I need a motion under those statute provisions to close the meeting.
I'll make a motion to move to closed session pursuant to Minnesota statute 13D.03 for union negotiations.
Any discussion?
Before we break into that, I'd like to say thank you all for coming.
Yes, thank you.
Wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Enjoy this season and be safe this holiday.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Correct.
Aye.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Sarah.